30% growth a year in this field. Our country is one of the global leaders in this area. This shows the quality of Russia's digital platforms that bring benefits to the Russian producers and foreign suppliers as well. Today, I mentioned our friends and partners from the Republic of Uzbekistan. I will give you an example. The volume of trade in Uzbekistani goods using the Wildberries platform alone in 2023 amounted to $418 million. That was in 2023. In 2025, it amounted to almost $1.5 billion, potentially reaching more than $2 billion this year. What does this mean? The producers of various kinds of goods, including small and medium-sized enterprises and producers, use this platform to access the Russian market. And more than just the Russian market, they have access to other markets as well. And the volumes keep growing. And the people work more efficiently and make more money. Small and medium-sized enterprises are developing. And at the same time, this happens using modern logistics, modern systems of taxation and fee payment. And we can only welcome such solutions. The volume has already grown by 3.5 times and continues to rise, thanks to access to all the consumers on the Eurasian economic space, and access to the partner countries, for example, in the dynamic African continent. This is also what we see using our platforms. Today, this Russian platform opens opportunities for businesses to reach more than 500 million potential customers across the world, and the numbers keep growing. Therefore, Russian digital platforms become a true driver for developing our partners' economies. The introduction of platforms in Russia involves trade, transportation, finance, logistics, tourism, as well as healthcare, education, media, and other spheres. We must build up work in this area and continue integrating digital platforms using artificial intelligence and autonomous systems. We have adopted a national AI development strategy. I will ask the government to prepare similar national strategies for the development of autonomous systems and digital platforms. At the Future Technologies Forum, which will take place in the beginning of next year, I suggest discussing the development of ecosystems of digital platforms in the economy. I will ask the relevant interministerial work group under the presidential administration to support the preparation for this forum. The second point I would like to make. Today and in the future, the sovereignty of the country is defined by people, their knowledge, their professionalism, their capacity of learning new technologies, creating new advanced goods, services, and entire niches in the market. These professional skills must be well paid. Only in case we ensure high quality of living and high salaries, our country shall be competitive and successful from the demographical standpoint. With our strong professionals who are ensured of their professional future and their careers, Russia has one of the lowest unemployment rates among all the industrially developed countries. It currently stands at about 2.2% of the economically active population. This is a very good figure compared to other developed states. To compare, I could say that Japan is close to us with 2.5% unemployment rate, India with 4.2%, the United States at 4.2%, and the Eurozone at 5.9% of unemployment. Over the past 5 years, salaries in the Russian economy have grown in real terms by more than 30%. I am talking about real terms, minus inflation. The rates are definitely high. Let me underline that further stable growth of salaries shall be linked primarily with increased productivity, as well as efficient organization of production based on modern technological solutions and our strong School of Engineering. There is another matter related to labor mobility, when specialists can find more advanced and highly paid jobs at a new enterprise in a different region of the country, where professionals are more demanded and where they may find new industries from the strategic areas that create goods with high added value. We know that young people are the most mobile ones, those who have just graduated or are about to graduate from universities and schools. In order to ensure their professional start in the career, we agreed to legalize and create a legal framework for internships, defining the obligations of the employers and labor guarantees for the employees. We also agreed to modernize the student contract and to adapt it to modern conditions. I know that amendments to the labor code have been prepared. I will ask the government and the State Duma to accelerate their adoption. Third point. It is obvious that sovereignty of a country as large as Russia is not just defined by the capital or a few major industrial centers. Each region must attract investments and create high-quality jobs, develop their industries and their urban environments. Our platform shows different exhibition stands where the regions of the Russian Federation show their benefits, their successes and their future plans. They organize talks with investors, with companies wishing to reach their markets. I am sure that the members of our panel's discussions and the guests have already seen the diversity of the Russian regions and had an opportunity to take a look at the exhibition. As per tradition, during the forum, we take stock of the national rating of the investment climate in various regions of Russia. The first place this year was given to Moscow, the republics of Tatarstan and Bashkortostan, the regions of Nizhny Novgorod and Moscow. For the first time, St. Petersburg and the region of Sakhalin were among the top regions in investment climate. The regions showing the best dynamics are the Khanty-Mansi and Yamal-Nenetsk autonomous regions, the regions of Omsk, Vladimir, Volgograd, as well as Krasnodar and Primorye. I congratulate our colleagues on achieving such good results. We shall continue providing the necessary financial support to the regions, including using the infrastructural budget loans. Over the past 4 years, this tool has been used to allocate over 1 trillion rubles to the regions. Up to 2030, we're expecting to send another 750 billion rubles. At the same time, we cancelled the debts of the regions on budgetary loans. Over the past 2 years, this amounted to almost 440 billion rubles, and this year we will postpone the payment of such debts by over 100 billion rubles. The regions may allocate these funds for development projects. Let me add that starting this year, the national rating of the investment climate takes into account another area. I am talking about the reduction of the investment construction cycle on the cultural heritage side. Old houses, mansions, buildings. The priority is to repair them, to renovate them, and make them available for visits by the citizens. This is especially relevant for the cities of central Russia, for our tourist points of attraction, including those on the world-renowned route of the Golden Ring. Let me take note of successful work on cultural heritage sites in the regions of Yaroslavl, Nizhny Novgorod, Lipetsk and Novgorod, as well as the Republic of Tatarstan. I hope that other regions will follow their example. Speaking of the restoration of cultural heritage site and speaking of development of the regions of our country, it is important to use the capacity of our business partners, major enterprises playing a defining role in the economies of certain regions. A decision has been taken to prepare mechanisms for the involvement of such enterprises in the construction sphere, in the construction of social infrastructure, kindergartens, schools, hospitals and clinics. I will ask them to finish this work in the shortest terms. We have agreed that major state companies and corporations shall move from Moscow to the regions in order to decrease the load on Moscow and give a new push to the development of businesses in the regions, to increase their revenues and to create new jobs. Mr. Sobyanin, this wouldn't hurt Moscow, I believe. We have positive examples of such relocations of major enterprises like the Rosshydro Company and PSB Bank. The United Engine Construction Corporation has also taken similar decisions. The Russian railroad company is finalizing such steps, and other railroad construction companies are also considering such decisions. I understand the difficulties related to the relocation of companies, but we need to be more active in such efforts. Furthermore, modern entrepreneurship is not only about business development. This is a truly creative work, which creates a more comfortable urban environment and entire new cities which are comfortable and attractive for life. We have such examples. I believe it is important to support initiatives of private investors to give them more creative freedom using new economic and constructive solutions, to connect high-tech investments, tourism, culture, creative solutions and local identity as part of the special legal regime. We also need to consider the possibility of collective investment into urban environment projects. I'm talking about the mechanisms that would allow the citizens to be directly involved in the development of their own region or their village, to invest into the improvement of the places where they live. I ask the government, together with the Institutes of Development and the Strategic Initiative Agency, to establish the legal framework for that. The next point, a strong sovereign dynamic economy means more private initiatives. It is the entrepreneurs and companies who establish new market niches, produce new goods and services, and stimulate employment. To ensure high business activity, we need predictability and stability of the investment climate. Business shall clearly understand the taxation system, the tariffs, the regulations, the measures and mechanisms of support by the state. In general, they must understand the working conditions for years to come. We have already fine-tuned the taxation system, and we have created the system of supporting investments at the federal and regional level. We cooperate with the business community, and we have prepared the national model of target conditions for doing business. I'm talking about specific steps to simplify registration of companies and for filing financial and taxation reports. We shall continue such work, making it more comfortable, to connect companies to the infrastructure, to improve the efficiency of law application and so on. Let me emphasize that the national model must bring tangible results for businesses and for entrepreneurs. I will say a couple of words about the systemic work with small and medium-sized enterprises. We have done a lot to make sure that the young entrepreneurs can easily start a new business, start their production and provide highly demanded services for the population. As businesses grow and develop, sometimes there are certain organizational difficulties and additional financial burdens, and not every entrepreneur is ready to deal with them. We must minimize such costs and ensure a seamless transition of businesses to a higher category, including using ready-made digital solutions and individual support and assistance. I ask the government, together with the Web Bank and with the business communities, to prepare a concept for a smooth transition for growing businesses, which would encompass all the stages from self-employment to individual entrepreneurship and then to an enterprise with all the boons of corporate management. And we must take into account the transition of the economy to greater use of digital platforms. Let me point out the following. This topic has been in the center of discussions, as I know. Starting from this year, the revenue threshold for the application of simplified taxation system has been reduced. It currently sits at 20 million rubles, going down next year to 15 million rubles and down to 10 million in another year. We have discussed this issue with the business community in great detail, as well as with the chair of the government of the Russian Federation. I believe it is possible to postpone the further reductions of the threshold of revenue. I knew that there would be a vivid reaction to these words from the audience. We must keep this at the current level. I will not give the specific timelines, but the further the better. I ask the government, together with the members of the State Duma, to take the necessary amendments. And together with the representatives of business communities, I suggest thinking about more preferential and comfortable rates and conditions for small and medium-sized enterprises in the production areas. I think this would have a positive effect on establishing a more fair and competitive business environment. This task of the so-called whitening of our economy has been set forward, and we will advance in finding a solution. And the next point, a strong and sovereign country cannot be closed off or isolated. Life has proven that we must produce critically important produce and goods. We must reinforce the infrastructure that has the highest importance for state security, for entrepreneurs, and for improving the quality of life. At the same time, we must build up links with our foreign partners, establish cooperation, advance trans-border projects. We shall continue carrying out our plans to expand our automobile roads and railroads. Using Russian technologies, we shall develop the network of high-speed railroads. We already have the pilot project, the Moscow-St. Petersburg Railroad. We shall also expand the capacity of seaports and the Trans-Arctic Transportation Corridor as a global artery. We shall develop the Russian trade and ice-breaking fleet, build tankers and other vessels of different classes. Our goal is to become one of the top 10 countries in the deadweight of our trade fleet. I ask the government, the transportation ministry, to continue working to increase the attractiveness of our national trade flag. Our own logistical and industrial, technological and financial resources and a predictable environment for businesses and professional development are great competitive advantages in the global market. These are the preconditions for successful work with the countries and the investors interested in cooperation and partnership, with those who want to build up mutually beneficial alliances with us, those who want to invest into Russia, into joint businesses, and invite our Russian companies for cooperation. I am sure that the organization of events such as the St. Petersburg Economic Forum shall make a great contribution into this major and very important work, allowing all of us to achieve new success to ensure the flourishing of our countries and peoples. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, President, sir, for setting the tone and tenor of the conversation that we'll be having. But before we go further, let me invite the President of the Republic of Uzbekistan, Honorable Shavkat Mirziyoyev. Thank you so much, sir. Please.
Dear Vladimir Vladimirovich, esteemed heads of states and government, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I'd like to express my sincere gratitude to the President of Russian Federation, His Excellency Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin, for this hospitable invitation and all this warm hospitality. And we all feel it here in St. Petersburg. I would also like to welcome Her Excellency, the President of Tanzania, Madam Samia Suluhu Hassan, and His Excellency Mr. Han Zheng, the Vice President of the People's Republic of China. It is a great honor for me to participate in the St. Petersburg's International Economic Forum, which over the course of its 30-year history has become one of the most prestigious and sought-after platforms for discussing the key matters on the global agenda. I am delighted to be back in St. Petersburg, the cultural capital of Russia, a city with a special history linked to Uzbekistan, spiritual closeness and human destinies That's the connection we have. During the harsh war years, many Uzbek people participated in the defense of Leningrad, while Tashkent sheltered more than 1.5 million evacuated children, women, and elderly people. The memory remains part of our shared moral fabric, the memory of the victory we share. Dear forum participants, today, right here on the banks of the Neva River, we remember, we recall the past, we reflect on the past, and we're also discussing the future and the new architecture of the global economy. Just now, Vladimir Vladimirovich has brought our attention to that. That's what we feel, that's the new architecture of global economy. There is transformation going through the whole world. Transportation routes are changing, new supply chains are being formed, modern technological platforms are emerging, and artificial intelligence is being deployed all over the industries. Fundamental rethinking, reassessment of energy, food and digital security is taking place. Competition is increasingly evident not only in the struggle for markets and natural resources, but also is shifting into the realm of technology, algorithms, logistics, and infrastructure. Amidst the turbulence in the global economy, states and regions that play a consolidating role, and I'd like to emphasize in particular consolidating role, and they are there to establish a proper area for cooperation, sustainability, and mutual benefit. Uzbekistan for millennia has been the heart of the Great Silk Road. Through Samarkand, through Bukhara and Tashkent, not only goods has been passed through that route, ideas and knowledge, culture and religion traditions also were intermingled. So that's why the openness has never been a choice for us, but a vital necessity and civilization code. Now it is taking in new content. Uzbekistan and Central Asia as a whole are emerging as an independent center for economic growth. Here, the transportation, technological, and demographic frames are there. And that's the future coverage. The crossroads of the main lines of communication between North and South, West and East is taking shape here. To firmly secure this growing trend, we urgently need connectivity of a completely new level. This involves not only linking traditional transport, logistics, and energy corridors, but also integrating digital payment and industrial infrastructure. A strong, consolidated, economically interconnected, open and sustainable Central Asia would serve the strategic interests of all our partners. Ladies and gentlemen, Russia for Uzbekistan is more than just a regional neighbor. It is our time-tested strategic partner and ally. Today, our relations have entered a new era. Our cooperation has become multi-level, multifaceted. We've progressed from just simple trade in goods and commodities to complex industrial chains, technological alliances, joint engineering, and localized production. According to our statistics, mutual trade turnover has more than tripled over the recent 10 years, rising from $4 to $13 billion. The current portfolio of joint projects with Russia exceeds $50 billion. Trade and economic cooperation between the regions of our two countries is steadily expanding. Our main partners are involved completely, Moscow and St. Petersburg, the Moscow and Leningrad regions, Tatarstan and Bashkortostan, the Krasnoyarsk and Perm Krai, and those are actively involved in the processes which are also representing other Russian regions. The value of the interregional projects that they are implementing amount $5 billion with an additional investment package of $5 billion in the pipeline. The cooperation encompasses all key industries, including energy, chemicals, and petrochemicals, mechanical engineering, agriculture, logistics, textile, food industry, and many other sectors. Among these, the joint industrial park in 5 regions of the Republic of Uzbekistan, and that gives strong results for our joint efforts. So the establishment of rail car manufacturing cluster in Tashkent deserves special attention. I'd also like to focus on the energy sector. Through investment projects, including those involving Russian partners, we've increased our electricity production by 1.5 times, from 58 up to 87 billion kilowatt hours. We plan on increasing generation up to 120 billion kilowatts by 2030, 54% of which will come from renewable energy sources. Our capacity will also be enhanced with the commissioning of the first hybrid nuclear power plant in Uzbekistan, with the great involvement of Russian Federation. Well, yesterday you were witnessing, we participated together with His Excellency Mr. Vladimir Putin. We've attended the first concrete pouring ceremony for the construction of the first nuclear power plant. For us, it's a long-term development project. We also develop our new School of Engineering. We adopt advanced technologies. We also intend to collaborate in other areas of the peaceful use of atomic energy, such as medicine, agriculture, industry, and science. Dear friends, under current conditions and circumstances, technological and industrial cooperation between Uzbekistan and Russia should not be confined to bilateral level only. We are focusing on broader areas of cooperation, spanning industrial potential, resources, markets, and expertise. Therefore, we are initiating the formation of a Eurasian technological industrialization belt. This is an interconnected system of industrial and technological clusters united by a single digital platform for industrial cooperation. We're talking about creating full-cycle chains from technology development and personnel training to the localization of industrial manufacturing and entering into foreign markets. We propose implementing this initiative on the basis of the already proven platform Innoprom Central Asia. And I'd like to emphasize here that within this period of time, within these years, we were able to gain great experience of joint efforts. It is held annually in Tashkent. This approach will enable businesses to find partners directly and establish mutually beneficial relationships. Ladies and gentlemen, well, indeed, digitalization is a promising area of cooperation. There is no doubt in that, as it is becoming a new language of economy. While infrastructure used to mean roads, pipelines, and power lines, today it primarily entails digital platforms. They form an entire ecosystem comprising jobs, logistics, payment services, and new export opportunities. Uzbek businesses are actively developing digital solutions and are open to technological partnership with a wide range of countries. For instance, our sales volume has increased 3.5 times over the last few years through Russian marketplaces, and Mr. Putin has mentioned that as well in his welcoming remarks in his address, and I'd like to emphasize that as well. And digital services reaching over $1.5 billion, that's quite strong result, I think, and it's a great perspective for our future cooperation. To deepen our cooperation, we propose creating a joint digital ecosystem. This could initially include aligning regulations for digital trade and urban services, further promoting Uzbek and Russian brands on mutual platforms, establishing a unified digital employment profile, and developing artificial intelligence-based products. This will open up new markets for businesses and will provide our nationals, our citizens, with additional income opportunities. At the same time, in the pursuit of digitalization, it is important to keep in mind that ultimately the individual human being is at the core of all transformations. Today, Uzbekistan is one of the youngest countries in the world, with more than half of its population being young people. That's not just a statistics. It is the source, the energy for development. It sparks new demand. It is our future. Our task today is not merely to provide young people with modern knowledge, equip them with that. It is also crucial to create an environment, conditions for them, where young people can master advanced skills and realize their potential. Cooperation in education and professional training plays a special role here. Uzbekistan is home to 32 branches of foreign universities. I'd like to repeat this figure. It is important. Together with Vladimir Vladimirovich, we worked together, and there was great support on behalf of Mr. Putin. Out of 32 branches of foreign universities, 15 are from Russian Federation. That's the largest network of Russian universities abroad. At the same time, vocational education is of a great importance, especially with an emphasis on implementing practice-oriented training programs. We already have some successful examples, such as launching of the first joint engineering schools in Al-Malik and Tashkent. Online learning services could be an efficient mechanism for cooperation in this area, as they would enable young people even in the most remote regions to acquire the necessary knowledge. That would fundamentally change the labor mobility model and elevate its organization to a qualitatively new level. So in that regard, we propose creating a joint online platform for human capital development. The platform will link education, professional training, and the labor market. The system could integrate educational programs, language and IT courses, support for young entrepreneurs, and access to employers. For the youth, it will be a clear pathway into new economy. For businesses, it will be a great access to a pool of trained specialists. For universities and colleges, well, they will benefit from connection to real market demand. For Uzbekistan and Russia, it represents a long-term, and that's the most important thing, investment in our most valuable asset, our people. And if Vladimir Vladimirovich would support me on that, we will task our respective ministries to launch such a platform without any delay. Vladimir Vladimirovich, can we do that? And I would like to highlight tourism as a separate humanitarian foundation for our partnership. This industry is best suited to foster the economy of trust. When people come to Uzbekistan, they experience not only monuments and cities, but also the culture, hospitality, the business environment, and business opportunities. In 2025, we hosted nearly 1 million Russian visitors, and we are ready to welcome even more this year. To this end, we are developing our tourism infrastructures, and not only that, but also creative economy. By 2030, creative economy will account for 5% of our GDP. Thereby, it will become one of the key drivers of economic growth. In order to strengthen cultural and humanitarian dimension of our cooperation, we propose launching the project named From Samarkand to St. Petersburg, and that will be Creative Tourism Corridor. This initiative involves organizing joint art and film festivals, museum exhibitions, culinary weeks, and musical events. Yesterday, Uzbekistan cultural and artistic projects were launched at the Mariinsky Theater and the State Hermitage Museum. Dear participants of the forum, the year 2026 holds special significance for our country. We are approaching a landmark milestone in our systemic reforms. A decade ago, we embarked on the construction of a new Uzbekistan based on openness, inclusivity, and pragmatism. Over these years, we've established a strong foundation for long-term growth, including a favorable business environment, a stable industrial base, and new infrastructure. Our economy has grown. In 2016, our economy was only $50 billion. Now, within this period of time, up to the end of 2025, it has increased up to 146